Hello and welcome to sim.bc, where it is 11:51. So it's just approximately 10 to 12 in at noon actually. And well, I have some things to say today before we get into the meat and potatoes of the nitty gritty of the video. And that is that this weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, yes, I will go to Amsterdam. Don't know if I've mentioned it previously, but I've kind of booked a ticket this Monday. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be all great. But I'm planning on making a 3-part video or a 3-video series, mini-series kind of a thing, to be automatically scheduled to launch during Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, why am I doing this? Well, it's one, because I'm gonna meet up with my mates, or some mates at least, and I don't think I will have the alone time with these people, because they probably won't allow me it. So that means that I won't be able to record in solitude, which means I probably won't record at all, and I don't know how good their internet is, and all that. So it's going to be kind of varied. On the other hand, I don't know how good my storage on my computer is. So I don't know if I will be able to make 3 videos and then schedule them to upload without filling my entire storage, because it's getting pretty small for some reason, because the other on Mac just keeps on increasing. Well, so these are the kind of things that I'm struggling with at the moment. Otherwise, what I've done so far, well, I haven't done much. Today we have a French oral exam that's going to be great, and yeah, that's nothing dirty about that. It's just the oral presentation of the language. It's going to be all fine, all good, but that's not why you're here today, is it now? No, it's not. Because today we're going to talk about as I've been taught, the FSNPA. Oh yeah, because that just rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? Framework when it comes to group management and group culture. And what am I referring to? Well, I'm referring to the 5-step process of forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. And what is this idea about? What is this framework and this theory about? Well, it is about that when a group of people come together, they seem to form roles, they seem to have a bit of an argument, they seem to have a bit of an internal hierarchy, they seem to have a bit of a struggle, but then they, in the end, usually at least, they perform in some manner or some fashion, and then they split again. And this is, of course, with both short-term teams that only last a couple of minutes, and it could be teams that last over a couple of years. Why am I saying this? Well, because that's a misconception that many people have, that this and this stage it only takes like an hour, or yeah, it does. If you have the pressure to make something in like 2 or 3 hours, then maybe one step is half an hour or 45 minutes, something like that. And these steps, I would say, is going to be adapted time-wise in return, or in relation rather, to the total amount of time that you have for the project, for the team. And this is also the thing with, I would say, constant. No, it's not. It's just a case for teams that are going to be formed and then dismantled again, not proper teams that's going to be like all throughout your living period. But anyway, you can say that no team is actually going to last forever, because you always need it. Well, anyway, let's just say that this is the framework for all teams and all group culture. Let's get into it. So as I said, there are 5 steps. Let's start with forming. The forming part is basically you're bringing together different individuals, right, in order to get into a team. So if you're the manager, you're the general manager of the team, the project leader, so to say. You're out there and you say, I want to do this startup, or I want to do this team project, and for this project I need these 5, 6, 7, 800 people maybe. So you start picking around. You might pick some people that are friends, you might pick some people from the company, some people that are your past friends, some people that you don't know about that other people have recommended to you, and maybe some people that you need to pick because they're either really relevant for the project, or someone higher up has told you, like, these people are going to be in the project. Not much you can do about that. So you try to form this group. That's the first big challenge for you as a manager. But you try to form this group with all these different people included in the, what should we say, in the management team. And once they all get there, they're probably going to rely on the formal structure of the team. You as the team leader, you're going to say, well, this is how we're going to do things. This is the structure of it. Now, let's try to get to work. This is the aim of the team. Unfortunately, most people won't get that. So that's leading into the second part, and that is when people are getting, what should I say, comfortable? Not really comfortable, but when they start to realize, this is the team, these are the people we're going to work with, and once they've worked for a while and the honeymoon period, so to say, has not lasted anymore, like when it's over, you're going to start to see people pushing the boundaries, and this is the storming part of the concept. And why am I saying the storming part? Well, because it's going to be like a storming sea. It's going to be waves crashing in, it's going to be monsoons, it's going to be winds dragging in all different directions, because people are going to push the social limits of what is allowed, what is accepted. Why am I saying that? Well, because if you think about it, if you're in class, or if you're at work, or if you're at any other place where there is teams, or a group of people rather, you will realize quite quickly that there are some people going to take on different roles. Some people are going to be the jokesters, some people are going to be the one that asks questions, some people are going to be the one that unfortunately is seen as the, what should we say, less educated person, or the less educated parts of the teams. And some people are going to be the natural leaders, some people are going to be the formal leaders, and some are going to be the popular leaders, I'd say. Some people are going to be kind of voted for internally without saying anything. But here's also where you try to establish your own role, and there's lots of conflict, and you as a manager really need to get on this and say, okay, we're going to have conflict here. I know we're going to, because everybody's going to have a conflict when they're put in some manner or fashion, in different levels of conflict, of course, but usually there's going to be a conflict like 99% of the time. So you as a general manager, you as the project leader, need to be on your toes and be there and say, okay, well, if this is the case, I need to be able to respond to these conflicts in the best way that I can. And it's really important that you are, and that you do, and that you know about this step. So after the forming, there's probably going to be a storm for you as a manager, the wind's pulling in different directions, and you just need to keep your boat like afloat. That's what you do. That's your main purpose. You try to keep all the people together, because if the storming doesn't work, if you don't weather the storm, so to say, this can break the group. This will make or break the group, because usually it just turns over naturally. People are going to assume the different roles. They're going to live into them, even if they identify with them or not, and that's going to be the end of it. This can happen without the manager's touch as well, but as long as they have this formal goal that they know that they kind of need to stick together. But if the conflict gets out of hand, either because you intervened and made it worse, maybe that could be a thing, or because it just naturally is getting out of hand because maybe different controversial conflicts or topics like politics or racial stereotypes or whatever gets in the way, I would say stupid things like that. And people can be furious out of proportion and just disband the team right there. So you need to weather the storm in some fashion, in some ways. It's going to be nice if you, as a team manager, are like in line with that this is going to happen. Then we come to norming. Norming is basically where people are going to get used to their roles. They're going to assume their roles. They're not going to, well, what should I say? They're going to get into the mindset, okay, we're going to perform, because performing is the next step. So they're going to go into the mindset that this is what the team is going to look like when we're performing. And now you're also going to see that people in the team are going to figure out what is actually the goal here, what is it that we're actually going to do, how is the structure for what we're going to do, and can we plan for the different phases. And norming is also when you have this, for instance, if you have this popular leader and you have the formal leader, how is the relationship between them? Who are you going to listen to and why? Probably the formal leader, but maybe in your social life you're going to be with the popular leader more, and that tends to influence your decision making as a part of the team. And as a manager of the team, if you're the formal leader, you want to be the popular leader as well, but if you're not, which you probably aren't going to be, because it's very much a you against them perspective that most people have in most teams, unfortunately, you will need to know who is this popular leader so that you can get that person on your side, so that the entire group is unified in going for the performance. So that's basically norming. People are going to assume their role is going to be more relied or accustomed to them. Then we're going into performing. Not much to say about this. Performing is the stage when people are basically just doing what they're told, doing what they're supposed to do, try to realize the goal of the entire team. They try to make something happen here, something that they were meant to do. And there is performing well. They probably have been performing during the forming, storming, norming sessions as well, but this is where it really kicks off, perhaps because the time limit is increasingly, or it's getting steadily and faster towards the deadline, and people are feeling like, well, it's time to start doing something now. You've probably all been there, at least in school, when the teacher says it's going to be due to next Monday, and it's Monday today, and you all work through, and you all say, well, oh yeah, well, of course, it's a week until Monday. We have plenty of time, and then you all sit there Sunday night, stressed out to perform, and that's when you're actually performing in the group. So that's basically when you're going to do your performing you're going to create the content, you're going to create what is needed of you. And then you come to the last step, which is adjourning, which is basically everybody is shaking hands, saying well done. People might be angry at each other from the storming session, unfortunately, from the second step, but most likely people are going to be very, I'm saying most likely, but I wonder if it is. I would say that most likely, in my opinion, at least from my experience, people are going to be shaking hands and be all good, all fine. That now it's over, and I can totally see why you did what you did. I can totally see why you didn't do what you did do, or whatever or whatnot. But people will be separating and go back to their natural team, like the natural formation of the groups. So perhaps, hopefully, rather, the entire team will feel like, oh, we're a team still, even though we're adjourning, and that's a very positive thing, in my opinion, that you still feel like we're still connected in some way. But unfortunately, many teams, or perhaps fortunately, depending on which industry you're working and if you're competitors and whatever and whatnot, you might be feeling like, well, now I'm out of the group and I'm on my own again. But this is basically just breaking up the group. And you as a team manager also have a very important role to play here to make sure that conflict doesn't arouse when people are separating from each other. So that's also on you, mate. If you're the team leader, just live with it. But now something that is very important, in my opinion, that is not taken up, at least at least what I've seen, it's not taken up in the general sense. And that is, during the storming and norming, you kind of assume a role and you're pushing towards a role. I would just like to say that if people are assuming a role, perhaps a leadership role or a funny role or a stupid role, or a devil's advocate role rather, and that's a very good role to have. You want someone who is the devil's advocate, but most people are going to regard this person as stupid anyway, if this person haven't specifically said I'm the devil's advocate, because then it's just going to look like this person is questioning everything that's happening and hindering performance. Anyway, it's very important to say that even though these people have had these different roles, that you shouldn't judge them based on the roles that they had in the team. Now, why am I saying that? This is the only relation you have to them. Of course, you're going to judge them by this. Not judge them, but like interpret their behavior based on this in this team context. And that's the key thing, the group context. Because if these people are thrown into a different team, they might have totally different roles. For instance, I'm working in a team right now in my enterprise and leadership, and there are many people there who haven't assumed a leadership role, but I can totally see that they have some qualities that would fit with being a leader. And why am I saying that? Well, because I'm technically I have flown into being the team leader unofficially, because formally we don't have one, but basically I'm the team leader. But if these people were to work with people from other groups, other cultures, other contexts, other people in general, they might have picked up the leadership role. So therefore, you shouldn't judge someone just because they assume a role in the team, because these people might assume this role, well, maybe to not involve in, to avoid conflict or not arouse conflict, or maybe they feel like, oh, I can take a step back and learn something new, or they want to adapt to something new, or they want to do something new. And if they want to be the leader and you're the leader, well, maybe it's going to be a bit of a clash here. And I'm not talking about the formal leader, because that person can probably not be replaced, but the popular leader, that some people are going to be, well, okay, I'll step down, I'll let you take this. So you should not judge people based on the roles they have in teams, because if you put them in another team, the role can be totally different. That's all I'm saying. That's something that I haven't been taught in school, we haven't touched that much about, which I think is really important. So that was everything for me today, mates. The forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning, or as I have been taught, the FSNPA, which is totally, it rolls off the tongue easily, doesn't it? No, it does not. It's stupid. It's not stupid, but it's not the most effective way of saying it. So, without any further ado, mates, have a nice one, and I'm gonna see you tomorrow. We'll see how I'm doing with the Amsterdam things that happened over the weekend. See you tomorrow, mates. Have a nice one.